Life like this sure is sweet, huh?
It definitely is, man.
Well, hello and welcome back to Virtual Puck Drop. Wow, it's been a while, but we're back here. We all have the same backgrounds. Jacob still has his superheroes in the background. I still have all my Yankees gear in the background, and Jordan is plain Jane. We have it all back right here.
You just can't see it. I have my devil
everybody.
stuff in the background. I'm just facing a window.
Anyway, as I was saying, so we're back on Zoom. However,
unfortunately, we're snowed in.
For our last couple of Puck Drop episodes, I believe we only have 3 or 4 more with our radio club format. We will be back in the studio. And then any other episodes you will see of me, Jordan, and Jacob going forward really be last second YouTube Zooms. Otherwise, we're handing it off to the next batch of Puck Drop hosts. So we're really creating a tradition here. So if I'm explaining to you what's going on with Puck Drop and you're confused, wait till you hear about this trade the Devils made. Jacob, try and explain.
Well, first, before I explain the trade itself, Jordan, I think, should explain the build.
All right.
That whole day.
So, what are we talking about here? We're talking about none other than Timo Meier. It is Timo time in New Jersey. The Devils officially made the trade for the top player on the deadline market. Their supposed savior, the one that's going to take them deep into the Stanley Cup playoffs. And it was really dramatic in the weeks and days leading up to it. There were a lot of rumors flying around. For a while, it seemed like the things that would be going to San Jose were at least a first-round pick in Alex Holtz plus an A-tier prospect. But on the day of, everything kind of just exploded. We got the message at around 4 that the Devils and Sharks had made the trade, but the trade call wasn't in. So all the NHL insiders reported that Timo Meier was going to New Jersey. No one had the package that was going to the Sharks, which was very frustrating. They just kind of went radio silent for an hour, and then we started getting some speculation. We heard Dawson Mercer to the Sharks, Dawson Mercer not to the Sharks. Maybe Simon Nemec is involved? No, he's not involved. Then we heard that Alex Holtz wasn't involved. So basically, we just kind of went piece by piece of this trade trying to figure out what happened until around, was it 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock? When we finally
heard, 8 or 9 o'clock.
Now,
yeah, when we finally heard the full package going to the Sharks, and it's complicated. The package going to the Sharks is complicated. The package coming back is complicated somehow. Jacob, explain it. I don't really understand it.
First, before you get into the trade, I would just like to say when I knew this was happening because I saw it around 4 o'clock that Timo Meier was probably going to be coming to the Devils. It's not confirmed, but it's the next best thing. So I was thinking in my head, I was like, oh, this will probably be a simple trade. But then I was thinking about actually calling you Jacob because knowing you, I was figuring you would be piece by piece trying to figure out what would make sense in this situation, almost drawing up your own version of the trade before it was announced. So I'm curious, please tell me what you thought it was going to be before you actually explain what it is.
I thought it was going to be a first-round pick, Alex Holtz, even though there was a report saying that Alex Holtz wasn't in the trade as of Friday, but it's 48 hours difference. I thought it'd be a first-round pick, Alex Holtz, maybe another prospect, and maybe another later round draft pick. It is a lot more complicated than that, and a large reason was, and I'll explain. At first, actually, I'm going to say the entire package. The Devils acquired Timo Meier, defenseman Scott Harrington, who they waived and is no longer with the organization. The Anaheim Ducks actually claimed him earlier today, as of recording this. Defenseman Santeri Hadaka, who actually is a decent defensive prospect. Forward Timur Ibragimov, and goalie Zach Emond, Those are to ECHL, which if you're not familiar, that's the level below the AHL. It's the minor leagues of the minor leagues. They're to ECHL players, probably not going to be anything. They also acquired Colorado's
That
2024
goalie is
fifth
a
round
little
pick.
intriguing.
A little bit. He's been playing well in the ECHL, but still, ECHL, and it's tough to make that jump.
Roster spots mostly.
Well, you know what they say in baseball? They say that AA is the best level to develop because AAA is the washes, and the majors are the majors. So AA is where it's at. So you never know. Maybe this can mean something for the Devils.
It's true. Well, they did give up a significant amount for all these pieces. The first round pick in 2020.
You know what's funny though? It looks like on paper when you first look at it, it was a steal.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But then you gotta look what the Devils gave back. First round pick in 2023, a conditional second round pick in 2024. I'll mention those conditions in just a moment. Defensive prospect Shakir Mukhamadullin, forward Fabian Zerlin, who has played a lot of games with the team this year, and he was one of my favorite prospects for a long time. Sad to see him go, but well worth it. Defensive Nikita Okhotyuk, forward Andreas Janssen in the 2024 seventh round pick. And the condition on that second round pick is if the Devils make the Eastern Conference Finals either this year or next year, 2023 or 2024, and Timo Meier plays 50% of the games in the year that they make the Eastern Conference Finals, then that second round pick becomes a first round pick. And that's the trade. It's a lot going on there. And the reason I think a lot of those guys were sent back to the Devils with Timo Meier is just the fact that the Sharks were 49 out of 50 roster spots. You can only have 50 contracts. Excuse me. You can only have 50 contracts signed within the organization. That's not 50 players like owned, but 50 contracts signed. The Sharks were at 49, so they had to give some contracts back. Santeri Hadaka, like I mentioned, interesting defensive prospect. The other guys, Ibrahimov and Emans, I think are probably not going to be anything special.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot going on there. I'm trying to think of a good analogy. A lot going on.
We haven't even talked about the biggest piece, the biggest asset possibly that will be moved at this entire trade deadline in Timo Meier. The Devils got their guy. This is the guy that Fitzgerald weeks ago, months ago even, pointed out. He said, not directly, but he said he wanted a young top six forward winger with term, and he got his guy. Timo Meier is exactly that. He doesn't have term, but he is under team control. It's an RFA after this year. $10 million qualifying offer, though. So that means that the Devils have some incentive to try to get him signed fairly early on in the offseason.
Okay.
And we profiled Timo Meier a few weeks ago in our first ever deadline spotlight. But just a refresher, in case you don't really know who Timo Meier is, we're gonna show you a quick clip. Timo Meier is a pure goal scorer. He's a great net front presence. He also creates his own plays. He is the total package and what you want. I will be happy if he plays on a line with Nico Hischier or Jack Hughes. He's gonna dominate in that top six. He's gonna be the Devils' goal scoring punch.
That's quite the first line you can ask for. And if you're going on social media, you're going to see that the Devils are trading to win, and it just feels really good to be a fan of a team that's trading to win that plays in New Jersey. You don't see that too often. The Devils have been struggling since that Stanley Cup appearance many years ago. They've made the playoffs, but a lot of people have called it a fluke. We remember 4 or 5 years ago, the team was off to a blast of a start. And then they stayed in the playoffs the entire season, which was very impressive. But they were in first place for a lot of the season. They ended as the second wild card team. This team seems to still be hitting the gas, which is very impressive. And they continue to add on. They continue to just tack on pieces. They're expanding the puzzle, and they're connecting it at the same time. And that's what I love to see from this Devils team. It's been long in the making.
Absolutely. You gotta when the Devils were acquired, the franchise was acquired by HBSC, Josh Harris, David Blitzer. It's trust the process, like with the Philadelphia 76ers, their other sports franchise. Trust the process. And it's been a long decade, but the process has led us to here, where the Devils are third in the National Hockey League.
Let me just say,
and they have one of the best prospect pools in the NHL on top of that. And
it wasn't just one process. We switched coaches, we switched managers. We had to keep trying different processes before we were able to settle in. I'm not even sure we're fully settled in because we haven't finished the season yet. I mean, it's looking good, but that doesn't mean that it's finished good. So it's a great time, but it's not a secure time yet. It's almost like you're investing in the stocks. They're going up. You don't want to pull your money out and sell it yet. You want to see where it's going to go.
I think that your message about security, Ryan, is spot on. I think Timo Meier brings a little bit more security to the Devils. And the way to bring even more security is to make sure he gets signed over the offseason because he is an RFA. I do believe that there's enough cap coming off this offseason to re-sign him along with Jesper Bratt. That process
There is
can
100%.
get kind of tricky though because of the negotiations as we saw last year with Jesper Bratt.
Um, well, I mean, yeah, but I think the Devils are this year are going to lock up just for Bratt longer term. Last year, the biggest thing with
For
Bratt
sure.
was really that he had one great year, but could he do it again? He's doing it again. He's been excellent this year, if not even better than
Yeah.
last year. So I think, and the Devils have $36 million in projected cap space. So that's well enough to sign Meier and Bratt. The Devils were not traded for Meier if it meant they had to lose Bratt in the offseason. So I believe they will both get signed. And actually, Tom Fitzgerald on NHL Network last night mentioned that he is speaking just for his Bratt agent, trying to hammer out a deal as they during not obviously during the interview, but he said as we speak. Um,
And before we move on to the rest of the show, do you guys like, have any thoughts on the package that's going back to San Jose? Do you want to grade the trade on both sides?
sure. I'll start out, I guess, and
Sure.
I'm gonna give for the Devils, this is an A, and for the Sharks, I'll give it a B minus. I think that this is a bit of an underwhelming package, not a bad package whatsoever. They got a ton of assets back there. There's more of a quantity of quality package. And I'm not exactly sure that's what Sharks fans want, and I'm not exactly sure that's what's best for San Jose. So I'm going to give it a B minus for the Sharks, A for the Devils.
My thoughts are I would give the Devils an A minus rating. And I think it's a very good trade for the Devils. Obviously, they got Timo Meier. However, you got some pieces that hurt to give up. Mukama Deline, that's a piece who's a very raw Russian piece. He's been playing well in the KHL, but we really don't know what he's gonna be like in the NHL. Nikita Kotyuk, he was gonna be a third pair defenseman. Um, the other player, who's the other player
Zetterlund?
going, Jacob? Zetterlund, he was always gonna be like I would say his ceiling is like a second line kind of guy, but right now there wasn't a ton of space for him in the organization. It still hurts to give him up. The draft capital is a lot to give up, but the Devils got what they needed on this side of the trade. The Sharks, the quantity over quality, I feel like that's what you need in a rebuild right now. At this point, they don't have a ton of talent. I do agree with the assessment of B minus. So I think Sharks fans will be a little disappointed that they didn't get Alex Holtz or Dawson Mercer.
Well, if you want my opinion, this trade, you really have to wait to see what's made out of it. You have to see where Meier goes, how happy he would be with his RFA situation. And you really have to see how this is going to benefit the San Jose Sharks. The San Jose Sharks are 18-30, if I can recall correctly. They are not racking up the points. They're definitely not making the playoffs. And, they're sort of going through, I would say, Jacob, would you say a retooling process of a sense?
I think
It's
they
really a
got to go
rebuild.
for a full on rebuild, even though Mike Greer, their GM, said that it's more of a retool. They're stuck in this weird limbo where
Which
they
is
have
why I think the quantity over quality package works for them.
Right. So if you want me to continue my opinion, we
Yes.
really have to see what's made out of this. But if you want me to eyeball it right now, I would say that it's a B plus to B minus situation. B plus for the Devils, because as you said, they're giving up a lot that you don't know what will formulate out of it. But however, what they are getting can really benefit them in the short term. Now, there's teams that think short term, there's teams that think long term. The Devils, for the first time in a long time, can really think short term. Think about, the season ahead and not just the future. I mean, of course, they're thinking about the future, but they can really hone in on the season ahead and really, give something for their fans to enjoy. For San Jose, as you said, although it's branded a retool, and that's what I personally think it is, but of course, Jacob knowledgeably thinks that it's a rebuild. This is a perfect trade. Timo's an RFA. He's got half a year, left on his contract. And I think that it just benefits both teams. It's not the best possible trade for San Jose. That's why they're on the B minus side of the B plus B minus. The Devils don't get an A because they're giving away trades and they're giving away players that have a lot of potential. However, we don't know about that potential. That's why it doesn't hurt them too much and it's still a B plus.
Bottom line
I was
is, I think it's a sorry. The bottom line is for me, I think it's a fair trade, a pretty fair trade. No one fleeced the other team. Everyone is people. Both teams sacrificed something to get what they needed. That's my bottom line.
I was gonna say with the Sharks and rebuild versus retool, I think that they should go full on rebuild, but it's hard for them because they have so many guys locked up to long-term deals that it's hard to really be really bad for a year or two. When you got Logan Couture locked up on a long-term deal, and Tomas Hertl and Eric Carlson and Mark-Edward Vlasic and all these guys that you want to move out, you want to bring the young guys up, you want to give them time to play, and you're stuck in this limbo where you're bad but not bad enough. And
mediocrity is the death of a rebuild.
Getting these collection of assets, I think, is a good first step for the Sharks, but they're still again stuck in this weird limbo. Bad, not bad enough to be a truly rebuild, which is why Mike Greer, I think, told the media a couple days ago, this is a retool.
Well, the thing about the team, I don't dislike their goaltending situation, but I do dislike where they stand generally as a team right now with all of their contracts, as you said, Jacob. I like Reimer in goal, and I think they have a lot of talent. However, they just can't hone it. Excuse me, they just can't hone in on it to really produce something. So I would say it's a somewhat retool. I could see them being a pretty competitive program next year.
We'll just have to see. I think we should shift our focus, though, back over to the Devils. They did play a lot of games since the last time we had an episode, and they were very successful in that span. They beat the Columbus Blue Jackets in a last-second thriller, 3-2, to start things out, and then to end things, they just clobbered the Philadelphia Flyers 7-0. Over the stretch since the last episode, they went a very, very, I was going to say respectful, but much more than respectful, an excellent 5-1 and 5-2-1, or 5-2, excuse me.
This team, man, they had a rough patch in the season. They broke through it. I don't want to say they got all their bad hockey out of the way because that might not be the case scenario, but things are heating up in Jersey. Not outside, not necessarily outside because we're finally getting snow, but inside that ice rink, I'm worried that we might not have ice. It might be slush soon because this team is heating up.
I think that, excuse me, Jordan, I think that the Devils did something good where they played poor, or they played well for a while but were losing in December, and then January they played fairly poorly for a large chunk of the month.
They were productive. They were
winning games, but they weren't playing well. But it's good to be winning when you're not playing well, so that way when you actually start playing well again, hopefully you can continue to win games, build off momentum from even when you weren't playing well, still winning games.
And of course, welcome back, Jack Hughes. He was picked up right where he left off.
He had 2 points in his first game. He finally got his first goal returning from injury against the Flyers on last Sunday, and now he might have a new line mate, Timo Meier. And Meier, Hughes, Bratt line. I mean, like,
that's scary. That I don't want to play. I wouldn't want to play against that line.
Jordan, I don't think. Yeah, Jordan, they're star hockey players. I don't think you know how to skate. And I wouldn't.
No. I'm saying if I were an NHLer, I would not want to play against that line.
I was joking. Jacob, I would have a lot of faith in Jacob because Jacob would know the statistics. He would know where to go and when. So he would know a little bit.
Jacob would have a high hockey IQ.
Jordan, you would walk in and you would just start screaming. You would really be, in essence, the hockey dictator. You'd be like, Timo, look over there. And you would just start skating, and then you'd probably fall on your rear end. I would pay to watch Jordan play hockey. I would. You'd be like the Will Ferrell hockey.
Interesting way to put
like
it.
The comedian.
Yes, he would be a comedian on the ice. It would be hilarious.
Oh yeah, okay. I see that.
Interesting way to put it. Well, getting back on topic, back to the
Actually,
Devils.
before we
Like you
get back
said,
on topic, before I can totally see Jordan being the head coach, chewing the gum and just yelling at everybody. I can
I
see
don't
that
think
too.
hockey coaches chew gum. They're more fancy than baseball coaches.
True that. Continue, Jordan.
Well, like you said, Ryan, the Devils didn't get all their bad hockey out, but they played very well over this stretch. The Canadians was an example of them not getting all their bad hockey out, but overall, the Devils put together some good games. They played good hockey. They played poor, but won in January. But I think they've been playing well, and they have been winning, which is the most important thing. They've been getting. I think they're gearing up for the playoffs right now. That's what they're doing. They're trying. They're just getting all that muscle memory in. They're getting all that good hockey in so they can be red hot going into the playoffs.
This is a team that's redefining if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because they seem to be fixing something that's already well oiled. That first line is a machine, and it's only growing in strength. It's very impressive.
Well, I mean, like the Eastern Conference right now, it's
Bloodbath.
it's a bloodbath. I mean, like the top never before in NHL history have there been the top four teams in the NHL all been from the same conference. This year, there's a very good chance the top six are all from the East. That's just ridiculous. I saw a tweet saying that if the East doesn't win the Stanley Cup this year, any team from the East, it might be the biggest choke in NHL history, and that could be true.
Well,
my worry,
you're thinking
my
Rangers, Devils, Hurricanes, Bruins, and Maple Leafs, and Tampa.
And Tampa, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot Tampa's been like in a fireplace. They're on fire right now.
my worry with a team coming out of the East is since the East is an absolute bloodbath, the team that comes out of the East into the Stanley Cup final is going to be the best of the best, hands down best team in the NHL. But they will be super, super tired. They're gonna have faced the absolute meat grinder that is the Eastern Conference, which leaves open the possibility for Western Conference champion.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
I think
I guess it is a wear and tear situation. I can agree with you in that case scenario.
Well, the Devils certainly have the depth. They have the players to make a run in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Is why the condition was on the Meier draft pick. So, with that being said, I think we should look at their player power rankings and our top 10 players. I know it's not March yet, just quite yet. Tomorrow, though, let's look at their March player power rankings for the Devils. Hughes, Hamilton, Bratt, Heischer, Vanacek, all not moving. Well, with Bratt and Hamilton are swapping. Biggest mover this week, we got Dawson Mercer jumping up a couple spots. 8 goals, 10 points in 6 games for Mercer. He is red hot right now, and Devils fans are very glad.
Dawson Mercer.
Devils fans very glad that Mercer did not go back from the Timo Meier trade. There were some rumors about that. Siegenthaler and Tatar also fall each a spot. Siegenthaler, Tatar, Severson, and Palat stay put at 9 and 10. I mean, I said last time we did play power rankings, we're getting to a point where the players are starting to lock in their spots. Jack Hughes, I don't see moving from 1. Hamilton and Bratt, I think have swapped a few times at 2 and 3. Heischer's kind of locked in at 4. Unless Vanacek completely tanks, I don't really see him dropping from 5. So
he didn't have the most amazing month. He had like something like an 879 save percentage in the month of February and negative 3 point something goals saved above expected. He didn't have a great month, but that's why I kept him where he was.
Jordan, most recently he ended it out with a bang, 7-0 win last night, and the team's red hot offensively.
Well, that was Akira Schmid.
Well, yeah,
that was Akira Schmid in net.
That's a good point. You made a good point, but the team's been red hot offensively. They've been explosive.
That's true.
So that
they haven't need to rely on him.
No, but actually, Jordan, now that I'm saying my point, I think it's actually backing you up. It's that the team has been hiding how much he's been struggling this month.
That is a very strong possibility.
As I say it out loud, so it is actually a fun fact, ladies and gentlemen. When you say things out loud, it really, gets it more in your head what you're actually saying. I'm actually now going to move my statement to defend what Jordan just said.
Yeah, Vitek didn't have a great month, but he didn't have if he had a good month, I might have moved him up, but he didn't have a good month, so I kept him where he was. I think the biggest mover on this list that I would want to talk about is Dawson Mercer. Take a bow, Dawson Mercer. He had a fantastic month. He's been ever reliable all season. He hasn't missed a game since he's come into the NHL, but this month he's really turned on the heat. He's on what, like a 6 or 7 game goal streak, 10 points in six games, something like that. He has been on
2
fire. He's
points
been driving the
yesterday.
offense.
He had 2 points versus
Points
Philadelphia.
Sunday, yeah, or Saturday, excuse me. Yeah, last game. Dawson Mercer, he has one of our plays of the week. Him and Jack Hughes make that up. Let's go check it out.
Midway through the overtime, Mercer into the offensive zone. Has his head up, has space. Mercer leaves it for Hamilton. He feeds Mercer, and Dawson Mercer scores again! The Devils win!
Listen to this place. What a play and what a finish. As who else? The hottest Devil, Dawson Mercer, tips it home for a huge 4-3 victory. This is just smart hockey. He's a guy that understands the game so well. You see, gives it to Hamilton. What does he do? He spins out, loses his man that was defending him with the open ice and redirects that pass. This is just beautiful by Hamilton and Mercer right through the seam, and then tips the shot right between the legs of Copley. Hit. Getting the feel with the puck and moving it up.
Here's Jack Hughes again. He spins, throws it front, score! Jesper Bratt taps it in after Hughes weaves and whirls through the Flyer defense.
The Devils come through the neutral zone with speed. They back off the Flyer defense. And Nick Seeler, 1-on-1 with Hughes, and he stops on a dime. Twists, turns, and as he falls, finds Jesper Bratt right on the doorstep with a no look.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed those plays of the week. A lot of plays to choose from, a lot more games than usual. We're covering a couple weeks rather than just one. So that Mercer overtime winner, Jack Hughes spinorama backhand assist. That was a beauty.
That's your
I was
welcome
screaming
back
on my
kiss.
television.
But
That's your welcome back kiss when you do something like that.
let's
All right.
let's switch from looking back to looking forward as we preview the Devils' upcoming week and their road trip.
All right, so tomorrow night, the Devils are at the Avalanche in Colorado, 9 p.m. start. Then the Devils are heading to Vegas. Let's hope they don't do too much gambling because they need actually, if they gamble, they need to win big. Put all the chips in. They're taking on Vegas on Friday. That's a 10 p.m. start, 7 p.m. local time, 10 p.m. here.
That's
And
deadline day, so let's see if they put any chips in on any other players.
let's hope so. They're in the perfect place to be gambling. On Sunday, it's a big one. They're at Arizona, so it's going to be an interesting West Coast.
Big game.
Yeah, it's going to be a West Coast trip for the Devils before we see you on next Tuesday, where then we will preview the next 2 games prior to the week after that. But I think it's going to be a successful week for the Devils. I'm going to say 2-1.
Yeah, I think I can agree. Actually, I'm going to say a little bit worse. Colorado is red hot right now. Vegas is hot as well. So I'm going to say 1-1-1.
But you have them beating Arizona 100%.
Yes, I do.
I think they're going to go 2-1. I think they beat Colorado. Actually, no, I think they beat Vegas, and then they just kind of beat up Arizona. It's not going to be pretty against Arizona.
I think Arizona's lost 2 in a row. I think they're not.
I will
they're
say
not the toughest team.
Arizona has actually been pretty good at home. They have like a 13-8-3 record at home or something like that.
But I think their last 2 home games they've lost.
Maybe I'm not
pretty
sure.
sure.
I mean,
I'm
I
pretty-
don't
well,
really
I know
keep
they
track of the
lost to the
Arizona
Predators.
players.
I know they lost to the Predators 6-2, and then I think they lost to maybe they were on the road against Calgary. But I know their past 2 games that have been home they've lost. I saw that statistic.
Well,
Well,
then,
either way, I predict 2-1. Jacob's got 1-1-1, and Ryan agrees with me 2-1.
All right. So, shall we wrap it up, gentlemen?
yes.
Let's wrap it up.
Jordan, I happen to really be a big fan of you wrapping things up. So go ahead.
Oh God. Remember to follow us on Instagram, puck_dropped@LHS.source.
Time out.
Remember,
Too slow. Too slow. Puck_dropped@LHS.source. That's right. Puck_dropped@LHS.source. And Jordan, take over from there.
our Twitter is at LHS Puck Drop. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube, Puck Drop LHS.
Wait, which letters are capital?
Oh, P is capitalized, drop is capitalized, LHS is capitalized. Thank you
No,
for
just the
watching,
D.
guys.
Just the D and drop, everybody. All right, catch you later.